And I say to my audiences in sales or any other role in life, the key to connection is conversation. The secret of conversation is to ask questions. And the quality of the information you receive depends on the quality of your questions.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rishi Katz, and welcome to the Oval Table, where we discuss all things related to helping those who live and work within your business how to survive, thrive, avoid pitfalls, have more fun, and become successful faster. Getting advice and input from someone outside of your business can make a big difference, and that's what we seek to do for you each and every week. Here at the Oval Table, we believe that every voice matters, and we want to model how that works. Often the advice that makes the difference comes from where you least expect it. We seek every week to provide a lens for a different way to do business. So much more is possible when everyone's ideas make it to the table.
If you want to start or build or expand your business, learn from experts who have been where you want to be. Tune in to the Oval Table.
Today we have joining us at the table someone very, very special to us and a real friend to this show. Kiplinger's Personal Finance magazine says about our guest, one of the best ways to invest in your career is to learn presentation skills from Patricia Fripp. In 2019, she was named one of the top 30 women in sales and one of the top 30 global gurus. A recent business publication called her one of the 5 smartest women in sales. Companies of all sizes hire her to help them drive more business by perfecting their important conversations and presentations. She's virtually everywhere with her interactive web-based training, Fripp VT, on powerful, persuasive presentations. Our guest is a presentation skills expert and an entrepreneur at heart. To give you a little background, at age 20, she arrived in San Francisco from England with $500, no job, or contacts. We have invited her here today to discuss how, as a small or closely held business, to get your message out to the world. Please welcome someone we consider very much part of our Oval Table family, Patricia Fripp. Patricia, welcome.
Thank you. I hear the applause from around the world.
Well, let's start with coming to America at age 20, San Francisco, $500 in your pocket. How did you evolve from there?
Well, if I may, I would like to step back a few years because at age 15, I went to work as a hairstyling apprentice. And my dad, who was a self-made and very successful entrepreneur, as he pushed me out the door, he said, in your career, don't concentrate on making a lot of money. Rather concentrate on becoming the type of person people want to do business with. And you most likely will make a lot of money. And I had the advantage, Carl, of going to work for some very good bosses. However, I looked at the business from the point of view of the owner. And arriving in America, when I believed everyone in America was rich and the streets were paved with movie stars, I discovered that hairdressers got paid 50% commission. No guarantee, no sick pay, no holiday pay, no retirement plan, 50% commission. To me, that was a license to steal. I always felt I was an entrepreneur working for myself, even while I was working for others. Then, what really probably brought me to the Oval Table was when I was in my late 20s, I was traveling nationwide for a hair product company, and also, of course, running my own business. And when you talk to your clients, and my clients were the movers and shakers in the business district of San Francisco, you talk to your hairstylist. And people started saying, oh, well, if you're talking to hairstylist, hey, come to my Rotary Club, Kiwanis Club, Lions Club. And after 2 talks, and being the star of my Dale Carnegie class, I knew how to memorize my outline and never had a script and use my personality and ruffle the guys' heads. And I found people who heard me speak came into my salon, and I realized, and this is a message that resonates even more now with the internet, the best, most fun, and least expensive way to promote my business was through speaking.
I heard you handle this question on 60 Minutes, where they asked you, what's the difference between being a hairstylist and a speaker or a trainer?
And I told them, as a hairstylist, I worked on the outside of people's heads. Now I work on the inside of people's heads. There's only half an inch difference. That line got me on 60 Minutes. The half inch has made me millions of dollars. Not all in the same year.
Yes. Well, so you were starting to get into there about how speaking to organizations and groups is a great way to promote your business. Can you go a little deeper into that? How people can do that? How they can start doing it? Because most business owners, frankly, are not speakers. So how do they get going on that?
The secret of giving a presentation, as professional speakers like us know, is illustrate with stories. If you are speaking at a Rotary Club, a Kiwanis Club, or your Chamber of Commerce, and it's free in marketing, it can't sound like a sales presentation. All you need to do is, within a very simple structure, tell 3 stories that answer the question in the audience's mind. What do I do to my business if I'm going to sell it? How can these same suggestions help me increase my business? And 3, if I work for somebody else, how can I help build the business so there's more security than me? Now you cover all the people in your audience. And if you are speaking for free at a service club, there is no free speech. Every time you meet new individuals who might not have heard of you before, they know the name of your company. They know what you do. You can wander around and shake hands and interact and better understand your audience. And they are all going to promote the meeting. And just as with all activities we have to promote our business in the world that is now digital and virtual, it's how you repurpose what you did. So these free presentations for me led to paid presentations. And you don't have to be the best presenter in the world. You just have to be an interesting presenter that tells a good story.
And would you boil that down to the what's in it for me principle for all audiences? That is in their heads. How do you help me?
Definitely. And with any message, it's who are you attracting? Why would they be interested? And in the example, of course, if it isn't a business owner, how do you make them interested? And how do you describe yourself and your service? Now, when I went into business for myself, and I was very aware, because I had the good fortune, when I was 23 years old, I worked for Jay Sebring, who was the Hollywood hairstylist. He was the person who really created the men's hairstyling world, and all his clients were the movie stars who, as Betty Davis said, in the old days, you could never film a male actor from the back because his haircut was so awful. Well, Jay Sebring changed all that. And Jay Sebring said, and this is important for us today in whatever business you're in, we only have one gimmick, the best haircut in town. But it wasn't what he said that was so important. It was who he said it to. Time magazine and Newsweek, when no one else was talking about men's hairstyling. And in San Francisco, Herb Caen, the number one, and everybody read Herb Caen. And Jay Sebring said, as soon as there's an announcement in Herb Caen that I'm in town, the phone will ring off the hook, and it did. So I was lucky, Carl, at age 23, to realize it doesn't matter how good I am in my business. The world has to know. And that was when I made the commitment to become what I now consider a shameless self-promoter. And a shameless self-promoter really means you start promoting and you don't stop. What you do is revisit, refocus, rescript. Revisit what you are offering. Refocus your attention because our businesses change. And then how do you rescript and talk about what you now do?
One thing I would like to ask Patricia is that we use our concept of sitting at the oval table and talking to other people as a model for how we think businesses should be run. And we're free to discuss whatever we feel is on our mind, whatever we are free to disagree. But we bring the information forward because that's how we're going to grow, not only as a company here, but as someone who's trying to model that for others. So if you were to look at our business as a startup business, let's say, despite our years of experience, despite what we bring to the table, but if you were to view us as a startup business, how would you promote our business? How would you suggest we go about that? Because that would be a model for other people.
So how would I promote the Oval Table as a brand new up-and-coming business? I would get all your guests to use their sphere of influence to promote that they are on your show. And certainly, when it comes to promotion, you have so many very interesting guests. And I know you do this, but out of every guest, and I know you have them transcribed, you could probably find in one interview 25, 30 tweetable quotes. Now, what got me on 60 Minutes is I knew I had to say something in a few seconds that was interesting and fun. That was a tweetable length quote long before we invented Twitter. And then you start and you don't stop. But then you say, well, how is that working? Do we need longer quotes? Do we need audio quotes? Do we need video quotes? Well, why don't we do it all? And what you do at the Oval Table is very much what I did behind my chair. I said to my staff one day, you have the most fascinating people in the city sitting in your chair. Why are you talking a loaded dribble? Because what I did with my clients, which is very much what you were doing, I said, what made you the best salesperson in your company? What did you do to your little company that made a big company want to pay you billions of dollars for it? And hey, you've been in PR for 20 years. How would you advise me to promote my small to medium-sized business? So what you are doing, I believe, and what you are encouraging your listeners to do is to become smarter every day, one conversation at a time. And then in 3 months and 6 months, you look at, as we all do, what's working best. and see, can we do it more? Can we do it better? I would think your collective minds are certainly perhaps more brilliant than mine, but that's off the top of the head what I would suggest.
And to reach out to a potential customer base, what tools would you suggest might be helpful? Of course, it depends on the company. It depends, are they a business-to-business company or are they a Main Street company? How would they approach that?
Well-crafted words. For example, out of every way we are reaching an audience, what interesting statistic can we use and how can we add an emotion to it? It might interest you to know. What? See, you is a magic word. I work on one principle with all my training and all my promotion, and it's easier said than done. I work on the principle, nobody gives a damn about me. Now, that is, I have a tendency to speak in black and white to get my clients' attention. People make decisions for their own vested best interest. So when clients hire me, they are not doing it because, hey, it's going to be good for Patricia. She's got a new ongoing coaching client that'll help take her on vacation. No, they are hiring me and paying me because it's going to be better for them. So how do we, in every business, in every industry, try and attract the ideal customer? Well, one, it's nice for us to know who are we attracting. And I got to tell you, this is one of the biggest challenges for me. I have several demographics that I serve in my small business. However we promote, whatever we say, whether it's in a conversation, written conversation, a tweet, a blog headline, an advertisement, a YouTube post, use an interesting statistic and little known fact. So it could be, would it interest you to know that according to the Wall Street Journal, executives who can speak without notes make 72% more income for those who can't? So it's, you take a statistic, add an emotion. It might interest, it might surprise, it might shock, it might horrify you. I work with a lot of technology companies, some in the cybersecurity space, and they have some shocking statistics. And these emotions, what's horrifying? So it's a way to bring people in. Then another way you can use the power of words. Imagine you had the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with some of the most brilliant minds, giving advice to small and medium-sized businesses. Well, perhaps you can't. However, when you listen to Sitting at the Oval Table, we know who you need to be listening to. No, I'm making this up as I go along, but does that resonate?
Absolutely.
It sure does.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So anybody out there who has a closely held business that is selling something, is providing a service or a product of some kind, they have to sort of believe in that product, and they have to find the people that are interested in that product or that service. And then they have to tell them about it in a way that's going to excite their interest in it. And then continue that conversation over time until they become involved with you.
Yes. Now, if I can give you an example from a much bigger company, but the principles are universal. What I say to all my clients is proven principles and timeless techniques apply everywhere. So I tell my clients, and I work a lot with engineers who are getting together presentations for their virtual conferences. And I say, we're working on this presentation. However, we're really working on every presentation you ever deliver because the principles are the same. So we can learn, and this is what I learned behind the hairstyling chair. long before I got to sit at the oval table. It's advice that my clients used help me. Now, I'm going to give you an example of a big company, but seeing I brought this up, if I may. Don Rich was one of my handsome, well-dressed, white shirt, blue suit, red tie, IBMer sales people. First IBMer I ever met. And he was outrageously successful and a relatively young man. And he said, Patricia, there are 3 types of people I call on. Those that I'm in the ongoing process, because in those days, these were mainframe computers. It was a long sales cycle. So those I'm working with, we're an ongoing contract. This is a sale in place. I'm also calling on people who I've done business and made sales with in the past, just to make sure everything's going fine, because it's these customers you get referrals from. Or you find how else can you sell more to them by maintaining that relationship. And he said, Patricia, and the third type of person I call on is those who at this point do not believe I have earned the right to do business with. I help them better understand how I'm serving other customers. So when they are ready, they are all mine. Now, this was the sort of advice I got while I was cutting hair. When people ask me, if they miss my introduction, where did you get your degree in behavioral psychology? Or where did you get your MBA in business? I always say, 24 years behind a hairstyling chair, because I maximized opportunity. Anyway, I have 2 brilliant clients that hired me to help them with their presentations, because they were women who had a hot advertising agency in New York, and they helped me with their presentations for their books. And these were the women who years ago got a call from a gentleman who said, I hear you are the people I need to talk to. I have a wonderful company. I spend $40 million a year on advertising, and nobody, even our customers, can remember the name of our company. Will you put together a presentation and you come see us in a month? And Linda said to me, we understand his problem, because we were 3 weeks into trying to put this presentation, and my creative director came in and all the employees kept saying, what's the name of the company we're pitching? And she said, Aflac, Aflac, Aflac. He came over and pinched her nose and said, you sound like a duck. And in her presentation, she says, now you see a behind the scenes of the creative process at the Kaplan Thayer Agency. Now you take that, and what do we learn? Because I don't know about you, but I always watch Aflac commercials. I love them because they're humorous. So what do we learn as a small business or a medium-sized business or any mom and pop operation? How do you add humor or visuals into promoting your business?
I'm reminded of a phrase, a company is known by the company it keeps. And a lot of what you just finished talking about is how you have to seek people who can help you. And I have found people are willing to help you. People are willing to talk to you. And the hard part is really figuring out, or I suppose, getting the courage to reach out to some of them, and then having the courage to actually sit down and talk to them, because they may be somebody that you are actually maybe in awe of because of their stature. But I have found most people will spend some time with you. If they don't sense that you're trying to get something from them, they'll sit down and talk to you. They'll give you some good ideas. And I completely agree that stories are the key. And funny stories are even better.
My brother, Robert Fripp, whenever we're out socially, especially if we meet new people or he introduces me to his friends, he'll always say, I must apologize. My sister is about to interrogate you. Because I'm really interested in people. And I learned this, and you're absolutely right. People will tell you almost anything you want to know. When I was a 15-year-old shampoo girl in this posh salon in England, we had all these rich, glamorous women as customers. And when I got to know them, I used to say, what were you doing when you were my age? How'd you make your money? Did you make it yourself or did you marry it? If you made it, how did you do it? If you married it, where did you meet him? Good market research. In all my years behind a hairstyling chair, in all my years sitting next to people on planes and at conferences asking questions, and brother says, sister, your questions are really personal. Do you know, nobody has said to me, that's none of your damn business, because people like talking about themselves. And when they can tell you are genuinely interested, they will tell you everything you need to know. So you're absolutely right. People will tell you. It's not that difficult to get access. In fact, if I may, one of my friends, Larry Wilde, he was an up-and-coming comedian. When he made it quite big, he was an opening act for Sonny and Cher, Debbie Reynolds, Jack Jones, and that era. And he knew as a young comedian, if I could interview really famous comedians, it'd give me a head start. And he interviewed Jack Benny, George Burns, Johnny Carson. Some of our listeners won't know who these people are, but these were the legends for decades ago. And I listened to the tapes of the recordings of the conversations. And I heard Johnny Carson, who never gave interviews, walk over and call his assistant and say, hold all calls for the next hour. Nobody has ever asked me that question. He told me of stories of Jack Benny would say, who else do you want to talk to? And call up and say, hey, got a young man and just had a great interview and I knew you'd love to talk to him. They helped him get the interviews from the friends. And that was because the quality of his questions. And I say to my audiences in sales or any other role in life, the key to connection is conversation. The secret of conversation is to ask questions. And the quality of the information you receive depends on the quality of your questions.
Is there any reason why you wouldn't just go up and ask anybody any kind of question about themselves or try to elicit some information or try to get a conversation started? How would you do that?
Well, let's look at your average networking event in the days when we can go out and meet people. You walk into a room and it is amazing how many people turn up at a networking event full of people they genuinely want to meet and they don't know how to start a conversation. And you can have, and I always talk with, we need to have phrases in our back pocket. Mm-hmm. These are prepared. Jerry Lewis said, my best ad libs take 8 hours to write. What I call by phrases in your back pocket is they are always ready when you have the opportunity to use them. So just for example, if anybody offers to put my bag in the bin when I'm on a plane, I always turn around and say, thank you. It's so nice to know chivalry is not dead on United Airlines. And an elevator, If I see an attractive looking person, I'll say, can I push your button for you? Okay, good. Now let's move to what we're seriously talking about. You walk into a room of movers and shakers or people from your community you want to meet just as a way to promote your business. What I do is I always, walking over to people, maybe you're standing at the food line or someone you see, I've always wanted to meet this person and there's nobody around them. This is my chance. Walk over. What I do is walk over and say, excuse me, but you win the prize of being the best dressed gentleman here. Or with women, I say, St. John never looked as good as on you. Because people, you're giving them a compliment. The key to sound interesting is to be interested. And you can start a conversation with, if you're standing at the food, you say, have you tried that cheese yet? You know what I mean? You just start a conversation. You're not writing War and Peace. You're starting a conversation. Or, I've never been here before. Are you a member of the chamber? I mean, it's not that complicated. My friend Susan Rowan, who'd be a great guest for you, who's the best-selling author of How to Work a Room, she always says, she reads like at least 3 newspapers a day, but just know what's going on in the news. So you could always pick up a conversation or start a conversation about what the news headlines are.
I was in a market looking at hot dogs, at the collection of hot dogs there.
I am disgusted knowing that.
There was a guy, my wife likes hot dogs for some reason. So I went up to this guy and I said, what's a good hot dog? And boy, out comes the information, out comes the flow. There's this one, there's that one, this is good one, that is not so good. And just tremendous. And he kept talking to me about hot dogs. I didn't have that much interest in hot dogs, but he sure did.
Well, I don't know about you, but I've always found it's fascinating listening to somebody talk in a presentation or in a conversation or at a dinner party. They talk about what they're passionate about and they know about, even though you have no interest in the subject, you are fascinated. So whether it's, people are interesting when you give them the time or you give yourself the time to listen, to find the connection.
I'm fascinated by what people do. I was at a meeting the other day, and I met a guy who said he hiked the Appalachian Trail. I said, wow, you're kidding. And I said, tell me about that. How did you do that? And it turned out he did it in a series of divisions, but still, that's fascinating that someone would go out of his way to make an achievement like that happen in his life. And that was incredibly interesting to me. And I didn't care about anything what I was doing. I mean, I was just interested in what he had to say about it. And it's not hard to keep them talking if you really have an interest in what they're saying.
And then I would probably add, what life lessons did you learn during your walk that you might apply to your business?
So this is one of those back pocket phrases that you have available all the time.
Well, it came to mind. That is exactly the type of question I would ask.
So, really what this comes down to is if you have a business, if you're starting a business or thinking about starting a business, these kinds of conversations with your potential customers is great market research. You don't have to spend $1 million on market research. Just go out and talk to people. At the same time, you'll be getting your message out because they're going to go home and say, hey, I talked to this guy who is running this business. Might be useful. Who knows? And it's that circulating amongst people, eventually getting in front of people to give a presentation on what you do, to get the word out, finally going on social media and getting the word out. All those steps work, and all those steps need to be taken into account. Patricia, thank you so much for joining us today. And I just wanted to ask you, because I know some of our listeners are going to want to get in touch with you, how is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
The very best is to go to my website, fripp.com, and you can contact me. You'll see all my services, speech coaching, speaking, online training, and there are hundreds of blog posts you will find.
And as a member myself, I'll just chip in that have a look at Fripp VT, which is a very inexpensive, very affordable way to get a full course on how to construct and get your message across. I can say that myself, I tuned into it when I was going around the country talking to realtors, and I was selling an educational package. I began watching Fripp VT, and my daily take in commissions grew from about $100 a day to I could count on $500 a day, and sometimes I made $2,000 and $3,000 a day. And it's just by learning what Fripp had to offer. Thank you again, Patricia, and we hope to have you back again sometime soon.
Thank you.
I'm reminded of a quote that I read during MBA school. I think it was Adam Smith who said that businesses, like individuals, like nations, all behave in their own best interests, which is neither good or bad. It's just simply true. And she underscored how being aware of the fact that people are interested in their own best interests is a great way to start a conversation, a great way to build a relationship. What do you think, Carl?
Well, I think something that I have heard her say in a different venue is that life is a series of negotiations. From the time you wake up in the morning until the time you go to bed at night, you are negotiating all through your day. Often you're negotiating with yourself, not with another person. And so in order to get through these negotiations, you've got to always have in mind that the other person always has running in the back of their mind, what's in it for me? And that's what you need to address. And you need to address it. You need to get out there. You need to get in front of people. You need to put your face on your product. The old myth, the product sells itself. Well, it's just that. It's a myth. And you got to get out there and make it clear how it's important to the other person. Not how great it is, how important it is to the other person. And the only way you'll find that out is by addressing what's in it for me. Doug, how about you?
Well, to tag on to that a little bit, that getting in front of people and talking to people, she said that the key to connection is conversation. And the soul of a conversation is to ask questions, and the quality of the information you receive depends on the quality of your questions. And she also said that you should listen for what people are interested in, what they're passionate about, and talk to them about that. In so doing, you will set up a relationship with them.
If you are looking for a competitive advantage, I encourage you to look at the words you use when you promote, speak, and sell. I can help. Talk to me. Fripp.com.
No podcast like ours would be possible without the help of some talented people behind the scenes. We would like to thank Audavita Studios and their director of podcast production, Sean Hedinger, recording engineer David Rosenblad, staging and show production David Wolf, social media Jay Spang, artist Marsha Carrington, and for our transcriber, Jamie Karras. We all hope you have a productive and inspirational week. I'm Rishi Katz, and we will see you next time here at the Oval Table.